again, everybody who was in the waiting room is here. So let's crack on, because there's a lot for us to get through over the next couple of hours, and hopefully all of it productive and useful. So as I said, welcome to our Franchise Discovery Day. My name is Ben Thompson. I'm a presenter for the BBC. And it's my job this evening to guide you through some of the conversations that we're going to have, and crucially get you some answers to any of the questions that you might have about franchising. Today's event is all about understanding what it is like to set up your own business as part of an established franchise brand. So as I said, we're going to hear from franchisors, franchisees, all in different sectors, really to underline quite how many opportunities and options there are for setting up a business. And before I get to the 6 franchise companies that are actually running today's event, I want to welcome a couple of special speakers as well. Chief Operating Officer of the British Franchise Association, that's Emily Price. Emily, hello to you. And also HSBC's UK Franchise Director, that's Ines Laing. Ines, welcome to you too. We'll hear from Ines and from Emily just a little bit later. But I also want to introduce you as well to our 6 franchisors and franchisees. So our franchisors, first of all, Ruth Brown at Home Instead, Dave Lister, who is at Express Legal Services, Catherine Hayes, who's at Revive, Graham Duckworth at Driver Hire, and John Davis at FASTSIGNS, and also Clare Mills at Puddle Ducks. Hello to you all, and I know we're going to hear from you all individually in your breakout sessions just a little bit later on. So more on all of that in just a moment. So hello to you all and goodbye to you all for the time being, because we're going to speak to you and hear from you a little later. And I also want to welcome you to or introduce you to, I should say, the 6 franchisees who are representing those brands today. So let me say hello to them too. They are Clare Jefferies at Home Instead Wimbledon, Russ Brown at Express Legal Services in Greater Manchester and Cheshire, Steve Thatcher, who's at Revive in Portsmouth, Gary Richards, Driver Hire at Colchester, Lee Simpson, FASTSIGNS in St Albans, and Victoria Rowley, who is Puddle Ducks, East Kent, North Kent, and South East London. So nice to see you all. Thank you for being on the call with us today. And there's loads that I want to talk to you all about. So we'll come to that again in just a moment. But maybe I want just a little run through of what to expect over the next couple of hours. We're going to hear from that panel of franchisees to learn, quite crucially, what persuaded them, what motivated them to set up their own business. And I want to find out a little bit about how they've been faring, how they are getting on. We'll also then, as I said, hear from Emily and from Ines. And then we'll head to the breakout rooms where you'll be able to speak to the franchisors themselves. That's really straightforward. All you'll need to do is click on the button that will appear at the bottom of your screen, and you can choose to attend 3 of those breakout sessions. Each of the franchisors will run their session 3 times. So over the course of the hour, they'll last about 20 minutes. Over the course of the hour, you'll be able to attend 3 of them. I'll explain all of that again for you a little later. And tonight, remember, is all about you. My job is to make sure that you get answers to your questions. So please do send us any questions that you might have. You can either type them in the chat box here on this webinar, or if you're feeling brave, you can ask them in the breakout sessions, ask them directly to the franchisors. And then when we finish with that, we'll all reconvene here, and I'll be able to put some of your questions to those panelists, any of them that you've been hearing from this evening. So let's hear from our franchisees, and it's really great to have you all with us. Thank you for being here. And I'm fascinated whenever I do these events, and I've done a few of them now. I get a real insight into what it was that persuaded you or maybe motivated you to start your business. So Lee, maybe I can start with you. And some people have unusual motivations. Your motivation came down to your wedding album, didn't it? Maybe explain a little bit about that and how it convinced you that you would start up your own business.
Sure. Hi, Ben. Hi. So, yeah, I got married 18 years ago. And when I received my wedding album, It was a newer style of album. It had pictures printed directly on the pages. It wasn't the old-fashioned mounted wedding album. And these had to come from Italy or abroad. There was nobody doing this in the UK. So that was my niche, because I was from a printing background anyway. I could print and design, and I knew a bit about print finishing. So that was my catalyst to start my first business all those years ago. And it's been successful, and it's still running today, and it's fine. But what I found through franchising is it enabled me to expand my offering utilizing the same kit. And that's why I went down the franchise route, because I wanted to use my assets more, use the space more. And in the initial market I was in, I was struggling to grow. So I wanted to add a bolt on and use my kit and skills. And that's when I came across FASTSIGNS to allow me to use my expertise in their franchise.
There's loads I want to ask you, Lee. I'm conscious we'll get around everyone, and I'll come back to you in just a sec. So Victoria, let me say hello to you too. And talk to me. Lee was sort of suggesting there, you know, everyone has a different motivation, but why did you choose a franchise as a way to grow the business?
Yes, hi, thanks, Ben. So yeah, absolutely. I always wanted to own my own business. One of my main concerns was about going it alone and being out there on my own. It's a very lonely world already, let alone running a business all on your own. So with a franchise, it's the support that you get, which is really invaluable. So there's support for marketing, IT, business planning, and more. And I think just having that support around me is really, really valuable, and it enables me to have the time to focus on what is important to me and focus on running my business.
And Ross, is that the same for you? Because everybody has a different story, but what you start to hear in events that I've done before, there are so many similarities in that why people chose a franchise. Talk to me about your experience. And I think you're on mute, Ross.
Yeah, sorry. It was the support that I was interested in. You know, starting a business on your own is very, very difficult. My background meant that I was traveling alone abroad a lot, and to come and start a business on your own is very difficult. And I was very interested in the support you get. And I've got to say the support we got from Express right from the outset has been absolutely amazing. It's allowed me to focus and grow my business all the way through. Product innovation is a massive one as well. They really control how the market is driven and the products that you offer to your clients. For example, Express have invested millions in digital systems which allow our network to deliver the best service to our competition, to our clients, whilst remaining ahead of the competition. If that's a standalone business that you're doing, that just isn't possible. We're always pushing the boundaries, which allows me to stay ahead of the curve. It's fabulous.
Yeah, Claire, let me bring you in at this point as well, because for you, it was about work-life balance, wasn't it? I mean, we've all seen that during the pandemic and now as we emerge from it. But talk to me about the work-life balance element that persuaded you that franchising was the way to go.
Well, I got into a home instead because of my own personal experiences with my parents who were unwell, and I needed help and support for them. And I would never have ventured into the home care world on my own. The thought of the regulations that we have to abide by I just wouldn't have done it by myself. And coming into a business that I could own myself. My children were 11 and 7 at the time, to have the flexibility to work the hours that I wanted to, so that I could spend time with them at home when they were home doing their homework, and carry on working in the evenings and at weekends for many hours. But I tailored it around what was going on in my family, and that really worked for me.
Yeah, and Russ, a slightly different element, but the same issue, wasn't it? Work-life balance for you, because I guess in your previous job, I think it's fair to say you were traveling around the world a lot, weren't you? Away from home a lot. But actually what you've been able to do with your current job is actually manage that work-life balance a bit better.
Yeah, hugely. I was very fortunate. I had a great job. It took me abroad. I travelled the world at the company's expense, but typically I was away 40% of the time, I'd get on a plane on a Sunday night or a Monday morning and probably wouldn't return until the weekend. Great life. But as you grow older, your priorities change. For me, my change came when we had a little girl. And, you know, I remember being in Chicago and thinking, I don't want to be in Chicago. I want to be at home. But running your own business, and especially an express business, has allowed me to be in my family and being a part of my daughter growing up. And it's been absolutely fantastic. Again, I take her to school every morning, or took her to school for every morning. But that allowed me to do that and grow a successful and sizable business at the same time.
Yeah, let me bring in Steve here at this point. Hi, Steve. Welcome to the call. Steve from Revive in Portsmouth. We were just saying there, Steve, about how everyone's got a different motivation for starting their business using a franchise system. Talk to me about what persuaded you to do it. And I think I'm right in saying it was the birth of your first daughter. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a similar kind of message, I think, from most people. The fact that it gives you the freedom to be able to. Sorry, hold on. I've got something going on. I've got a technical issue here. Bear with me a second. So yeah, it was a very similar story to the other guys, I guess. You know, a bit of young family, and I was spending a lot of time away working in the IT department of a big company. So I think from my point of view, I wanted a change of scenery. So you know, having worked in a certain industry for 10 years, I just fancied at that time to change. I wasn't really happy with what I was doing. So the motivation was twofold really on my journey. And so back then the system was different. I was essentially out painting cars to begin with. But the business model has moved on an awful lot since and has given me the freedom that I was looking for.
And you've been doing this quite a while, I think it's fair to say, isn't it? Talk to me about sort of some of the ups and downs. Why is that model so useful to being able to do this for, what, 17 years?
Well, I think it's just the help and support of someone in the background. I mean, everyone here will know the pressures of running your own business, whether that's a franchise or a completely new startup. From my point of view, the power of the franchise has allowed me to grow my business and be associated with a brand and have a system to follow in an industry that I wasn't at the time when I first started. I wasn't particularly au fait with, but you know, looking back now, being part of a bigger group of people who could help me with a lot of the back office, business development, technical training, all of these areas within my business that, you know, if I was to do it on my own, I don't think I'd be where I am today.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? And what it allows you to do that isn't immediately obvious. And Claire, let's talk about support, because Steve mentioned it there, that it's that support mechanism, it's that network that often helps you. Victoria's talked about it too, about the support that Puddle Ducks gave her. What has it been for you that's been the most important in all of this?
Well, I came into the home care industry because I wanted to make a difference, but I had never run my own business before. I had never dealt with HR. I'd never dealt with financials. You know, I just didn't have any experience. I wasn't from a corporate background either. And so to know that there were people at our national office who I could turn to for anything and for everything. And Ruth, who's here today, is, you know, from the franchise, or she came with me 12 years ago to help me find my first office. You know, I didn't know what I was looking for. And even 12 years on, I mean, having been through a pandemic, as a care provider through a pandemic, the regulations changed every 5 minutes, and our national office were absolutely on it. Everything that we needed, every piece of information is there for us. We just have to look it up. We just have to pick up the phone. The support there is I couldn't ask for better.
Yeah, Gary, let me bring you in at this point. Hello. You know, talk to me a little bit about what was most important for you, because you've been doing this a little while. What has been the most valuable?
again is support from the franchise and the network. Is with the changes in the driver rules in the last 2 years have been up and down, and things like the driver shortage and everything else, the support you get is phenomenal. You don't have to concentrate on what are the changes, you get told what they are, so you can push that information out to your clients, so you keep them informed and you become their knowledge as well as the expert in the area.
Yeah, I guess same question to you, Steve. You know, what is it that is the key to success? What's allowed you to be doing this for 17 years?
Oh, hard work is the cornerstone to it all. I would say. You know, certainly getting a real good team around you. You know, people that work for me now, we've developed a real tight team that has the same vision and has the same desires in terms of what we're delivering to our customers. And I think, you know, offering and having the help of a franchisor to kind of put yourself in a place where you can get that message across to customers and start delivering, you know, a great level of service with that backup. And you know, it's allowed us to go from strength to strength over all these years. Yeah. Gary, let me bring you back in because, you know, the theme here is that support. It's that sort of, you know, that hand holding that sometimes we all need, don't we? But talk to me about what you found as one of the best bits about doing it the way that you've done it, because there's so many different elements to it, but what stands out for you for being one of the reasons that it's so successful?
It allowed me, with the support, it allowed me time to go and do sales, because you can't grow your business without sales. So with the backroom element, when I came into it, I knew nothing about recruitment. I knew quite a bit about driving and I knew quite a bit about being a transport manager, but I didn't know the middle bit. And the middle bit is what Driver Hire gave me. But it gave me the freedom to go out with confidence and sell and bring the business on board and grow my business to the level it is today.
Victoria, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think also it's really invaluable to have the support from the peer network as well. So for me, I find it really valuable to have 33 other franchisees, business owners that are in our own network that have been there and have experienced the same highs and lows that I'm going through with my business as well. I think I can learn so much from them, and all of us as franchisees are really close. We all try and help each other as best we can. So it's like our own little community of Puddle Ducks business owners. It's invaluable to me.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? When you've got that network, and as you said, like 33 other business owners who are going through probably the same sort of challenges as you, so you're not alone when you're trying to tackle them. Lee, let me talk to you again. You know, if anyone's watching today and they're thinking about making that first move, they think this could be for me, what advice would you have for them in choosing the right partner and working out what it is they want to do and how they're going to do it?
Well, when I first thought about franchising as an opportunity, I visited the franchise show at the NEC in Birmingham, and that was a fantastic opportunity because you can speak to many different franchises. There's people doing all kinds of anything you're interested in. There's usually a franchise offering that thing. And I came away, I'd learned so much, understood how, you know, different models work for different industries. And I'd recommend it doing exactly that, going there, speaking to different companies and doing what we're doing today and speaking to franchisees, how they operate their business, the support they get, what they need. That's what I would do.
Yeah, it is all about sort of learning, isn't it? And just kind of having that appreciation of that support network around you, that you're not doing this on your own, and however daunting it may feel, there are, you know, opportunities and there are people who can help you make some of those decisions. I'm really grateful to you all. Thank you for being with us and sharing some of your experiences.